Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci-Finatics. Well, have I got some news for you guys today? We've got some brand new information about not only the new Section 31 movie starring Michelle Yeoh, but also the new Star Trek Academy series. An article came out very recently about from Variety with some very interesting news talking about both of these new Star Trek shows. We've got a picture to have a look at from Star Trek Section 31, some details about locations, sets, starships, bit of exciting stuff to talk about Star Trek Academy as well. So let's get right into that. Okay, so for starters, we've got this picture to look at from Section 31. It shows Philippa Georgiou, played by Michelle Yeoh, appears like on perhaps the bridge of a starship or something here in this image. And we've got her whispering in the ear of some very kind of cyberpunky looking individual. He doesn't look necessarily Borg, although I was kind of looking at, there obviously is Borg-isms about the look of this character, but it's a little bit different in the appearance here. He kind of almost looks a bit more like Bane from the Batman movies or whatever than your typical Borg. And to be quite honest, if they did steer away from the Borg in this show, I would be completely happy with that. Like, we don't need to see the Borg. We've sort of done the Borg to death recently in multiple seasons of Star Trek Picard. I kind of feel like the Borg needs to take a little bit of a break for a little while before we go back to them, because we've sort of done them to death lately. So hopefully this individual here that Georgiou is whispering in the ear of isn't a Borg at all and is some other cybernetically looking kind of individual or something to that effect. Nonetheless, it looks interesting. Her character there donning the typical leather kind of outfit, which she's sort of, basically donned before in Discovery and everything. That was always her kind of wardrobe of choice, and it looks like they're kind of not steering too far away from of her look from previous episodes in Discovery and so forth for this image here. Now, the other piece of information we've got about the new Section 31 show is very, very interesting. I don't know whether you'd consider this a spoiler or not, so I suppose I'm going to put a sort of a semi-spoiler warning on this next piece of information, and that's to do with a former Enterprise captain. We now know that at some point during the course of the Section 31 movie, Georgiou will come into contact with none other than the captain of the Enterprise C, Captain Rachel Garrett, who obviously we saw in yesterday's Enterprise episode, which arguably is one of the best episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. Everybody knows yesterday's Enterprise and the events that unfolded in that episode revolving around the Enterprise C and her captain Rachel Garrett. However, it's not taking place in this kind of, we're not getting into the same actor back that was in that role in Next Generation. In fact, it appears that this story is going to be taking place quite a few years before Rachel Garrett became captain of the Enterprise C. It seems like our story for Section 31 is going to be set when Rachel Garrett is not a captain of a starship. She's a young officer, whether she's just come out of Starfleet Academy, whether she's got her first posting on a starship somewhere, which essentially puts our story in the 2320s. Now, the 2320s is that area of Star Trek which is probably one of the most untapped and unexplored areas of Star Trek history, and that's that period of time in between Undiscovered Country, Star Trek VI Undiscovered Country feature film, and Encounter at Farpoint, the very first episode of Next Generation. It takes place right in the middle of there somewhere. So this would kind of, I suppose, take place around the sort of time when Picard was captain of the Stargazer, perhaps. We're talking about potentially sort of, I guess maybe 30 years prior to Encounter at Farpoint, give or take. So this is really an interesting piece of information for me, because I think that this era of Star Trek has never really been explored in any great degree, and the fact that it seems like our Section 31 movie is going to be taking place during this time period is really exciting news. We know the actress that has been cast in the role of Rachel Garrett is Casey Roll. This is a picture of her. I think this seems like a pretty good casting choice. She looks visually similar enough to Trisha O'Neill, who played Rachel Garrett in that yesterday's Enterprise episode of Next Generation. So this seems like a pretty solid casting choice to me. And based on the age of Casey Roll, I would kind of guess a junior officer. Maybe she's ranked somewhere in the realms of somewhere between junior grade lieutenant and perhaps lieutenant commander. This is potentially based on her age here. I would say we're probably looking at somewhere around whatever her posting was, you know, a couple of ships before she got the Enterprise C as a command, which happened in 2332, where Rachel Garrett was promoted to captain and given the Enterprise C as a command. So I'm guessing it probably makes sense that this story from Section 31 takes place somewhere around the 2320s. Obviously, most recently, we've seen the image of Rachel Garrett pop up in the third season of Star Trek Picard, where the Red Lady statue was basically the target and the facility there for that terror attack that occurred at the very beginning of Star Trek Picard Season 3. We saw the statue of there, you know, fall and the whole complex and everything get attacked there by that portal weapon that we saw at the start of Season 3 Picard. And even though the character of Rachel Garrett only appeared in one episode of Next Generation, I think it was a pretty commanding performance. It's obviously, as I said before, the episode goes down as one of the best episodes of Next Generation, I would say. There's definitely a solid basis for exploring this character a bit further in our Section 31 movie here. Apart from our Section 31 news, we've also got a little bit of news about the Starfleet Academy series. It has been confirmed now that Starfleet Academy does take place during the 32nd century, so this is going to take place after, I guess, the events of Star Trek Discovery Season 5. And we know that the Starfleet Academy location, thank God, is taking place at the traditional San Francisco headquarters, which we've seen many times before in umpteen different Star Trek incarnations. But it's always been in San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge has always featured quite prominently, you know, Starfleet Academy and Starfleet headquarters and all that sort of stuff. So I'm glad that they're setting it here, and it's not going to be on some, you know, cold star base in the middle of space somewhere, much like Starfleet headquarters has been featured previously in Discovery. It appears to be that the sets that they're building for Starfleet Academy are amongst some of the largest sets they've ever built before for a Star Trek series. In this Variety article, they talked about a massive central academic atrium as part of the main location there for Starfleet Academy. We've got a mess hall set. We've got an amphitheatre set, which is obviously going to be where there's lectures and, you know, presentations and sort of things going on there. We've got the grounds of the academy with trees and everything. We've got catwalks. We've got multiple classroom sets there. And what they describe as a very striking view of the Golden Gate Bridge, which spans multiple sets and is a major backdrop for the setting there of Starfleet Academy in one of the largest sound stages in Canada, a 45,000 square foot soundstage that they're building all these sets on. It seems like they're going to a massive expense for this show, and they're going to be some really great looking locations and everything involved in this series, which is very promising. But another thing which is very promising as well about this series, apart from the fact that we're setting it in the typical Earth San Francisco location, is we're not going to be grounded just to Starfleet headquarters, San Francisco, and Starfleet Academy locations. There is going to be a starship attached to the Academy. We don't know much about the starship just yet, only that it needs to be iconically Starfleet in its appearance, that you take a flash image of this ship and you know instinctively it's a Starfleet vessel, which means I guess it's going to have two nacelles, a saucer section kind of configuration, which most Starfleet ships have. So the fact that our students at Starfleet Academy are going to get out and about on excursions and so forth, they're not going to be grounded just to the grounds of the Academy. They're actually going to get out there in space to do some a bit more practical excursion type away missions and so forth, I think is really promising. The fact that we're going to be getting a nice mix of grounded stuff and exploration stuff. That kind of seems like it's a very good way to go with this series. We've yet to find out any information about casting, about Academy. That's obviously probably, I guess, going on right now, but I'm guessing we're going to be hearing some information about that during the course of this year. And obviously very cool to hear that in Section 31 we're getting a period of Starfleet's history that's been previously pretty untapped to be explored pretty thoroughly, including the involvement of not Captain Rachel Garrett, but it'll probably be a lieutenant Rachel Garrett or something to that effect in our Section 31 movie, which is really exciting as well. But guys, let me know what you think. Let me know about the Section 31 news, what you're most excited about. You more excited about Section 31 or are you more excited about Academy? Because obviously there's some interesting news that's just come out about both of these shows, which sound quite promising. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get chatting about that. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, please don't be shy to do so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay current and up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. And be sure to check out my merch in the merch store. Plenty of cool t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, stickers, you name it, it's all there. Very reasonable prices. Always there's bargains and sales and everything going on, so be sure to check that out. And it really helps support the channel as well. Guys, I'll be back very soon with the next video. I'll see you soon.